Hello everyone, Rare Mod Reviews here, and we have ourselves yet another unboxing! Yay! Alright, so this one's going to be a little bit different because I have these, some of these boxes coming from two different places. You can, I'm sure, guess where they're all coming from, but I'm going to go to, I guess, the least exciting of the bunch. Which is saying a lot because I personally am excited for all these, but this one is going to be coming from my favorite place to shop from. And no, it's not Blue Bandai. This is actually USA Gundam Store. So, straight out of the box here, as you can see, we have the Witch from Mercury weapon display base. So, I know what you guys are thinking, hey, I haven't seen any Witch of Mercury kits reviewed or even unboxed. What's that about? Well, I'm sure you don't have to think very hard to know that I plan on getting some soon. Unfortunately, the aforementioned kit, I can't say kits quite yet, is on pre-order, so it's not here yet, but in preparation of its arrival, I decided to snatch this thing up, so when I do get it, I'll be able to show it off to its full potential here. So, from just looking at this thing, it's basically the same little piece you get with a action base 4 and 5, except it has multiple of them, and as you can see, they're a bit smaller and can kind of be put on this one base here for the bits here, as you can see in this picture. And it can be used for more than just the Gundam here. As you see, they have the Lafrith there, as well as the Darrow Balde, and even the Pharact, which all have the bits. So I'm not going to open this thing up, but just by looking at it here, this is going to be a simple build. You can bang this thing out instantly. And you can just see an example of, again, what you could do with these things. Not much in here. I decided to grab two because the kit I wanted to get kind of calls for you having two of these things. So I, of course, got two. So I'll leave you guys to speculate on what I'll be picking up in the comments. And we'll be moving on along. So I'm going to put this thing to the side for now. Shout out to Jareth here who hooked me up. Oh, what's this? Oh, cool. The Thunderbolt gem. I'm actually tempted to get a bottle of this thing. It'll only be a high grade, of course, but I do like the Thunderbolt gem. I thought it was very interesting design. All the shields it has with it, along with the Gundam. So I'm just going to show off some of the stuff here that you can pick up right now at the USA Gundam Store. I can't say I've pre-ordered this thing here, but you never know, it might pop up. Some more Witch of Mercury kits there. All looking very cool. Now, I can't say I have watched the first season of Witch of Mercury, but I am waiting for the rest of the episodes to release so I can go ahead and check those out because I'm cheap. And the only way I can see how to watch this thing right now is from Crunchyroll, and I'm not trying to subscribe to that place for like 10 months. When really, honestly, the only thing I really want to watch is Witch from Mercury. But moving on, as you can see, we have the high grade here, Bound Dock. So I don't want to say this is a holy grail for me. However, I was very excited when I was seeing they finally put this thing out in high grade because, as you know, when the Zeta Gundam movie came out, they put so many of these dang kits out from the movie. It's easier to say what they didn't release so far, and this was one of them. So it's just really good to see they finally made this thing. And not only because they took so long, it gets to benefit from all the recent technology that comes with the high grades here. It looks great. Like, just looking around this picture here, oh man. It's going to be very hard to just throw this thing into the back of my, or I should say the bottom of my pile and keep it moving. Now, as you can see here, that is the alternate version of the Bound Dock, Gates Kappa's version. The standard Bound Dock was piloted by Razami and Bottom. And finally, Lieutenant Jared Mesa, who kind of got us the hand-me-down. This kit came out 3 years ago. But there is a premium Bandai version of this kit, which is the Gates Kappa version, which I honestly wanted to hold out and get. However, when I seen this thing pop up in the online, I couldn't resist. I had to just pick this thing up, especially as it was out of stock for a while, and honestly, I was afraid I might not ever get a chance to get this thing for a long time, so I said, you know what, I'll pick it up. I honestly kind of doubt they'll ever make a master grade of this thing. Who knows, maybe they'll surprise us to make a full mechanics or even a reborns version of it, but we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. So this thing has 2 master grade style beams. I know that because this thing is saying 2006, and despite the fact they probably didn't use a yellow beam saber until much later, that's still the same mold they use for all the other beam sabers. So nonetheless, it's labeled 2006, which is good because this thing only comes with 1 way to use the beam saber, if I'm not mistaken. It's just say 1 beam saber. So that extra beam you'll be able to use for whatever kit you want, such as, let's say, Master Grade the which is notoriously known from only having 2 beam sabers when it should have 4. Now, I didn't see this coming. This thing has an action base with it, so I'm going to assume this thing can't stand on its own or something, or have some sort of problem. So this appears to be an action base 4, if not 5. I'm not sure if this is the full package, but I want to say it is, though, because surprisingly, the action base, I'm pretty sure it only come on 1 runner, so that was a pleasant surprise. And I'm actually glad it comes with an action base, because this thing was kind of expensive. This thing was like, I think $60 or something like that. Literally, there's master grades you get cheaper. So that's one of the main reasons why I think they probably will never make a master grade of this kit, besides the fact that this thing is enormous. It probably will stand shoulder to shoulder with a 1-to-100 kit, despite the fact this is a 1-to-144. So the light's a little bright here, so hopefully, let me back up and take another look at it. Nah, it's still kind of shiny. So that's just really for anyone who wants to check that stats out on this thing. But moving on along here, I'm trying not to take too much time on this thing. So not too many plates really for this thing. It's just big plates. So I doubt this thing would be too complicated to build. So of course we're just looking at the steps here and all the little ins and outs of what to expect with this thing. So as you see, this thing can transform into a mobile armor. No part swapping. It can do it all on its own. And again, since this is a recent kit, everything in here is translated in English and of course in Japanese as well. So this really helps with the process of building this thing, as you don't have to guess what the heck they're saying. You will know what they're saying just by what they've written down here. So again, since this is a high grade, despite the fact how advanced high grades have gotten and whatnot, they still don't have inner frames, or full inner frames rather, and etc. So the steps are still pretty simple and can be easily done in no time. And again, let me try to get this thing where the light's not blocking stuff. So there you go. So for those of you who want to read all this stuff here, you go ahead and just pause this and then read it at your leisure. So again, I just really love the design of the bound dock here. Besides the fact that it's so cool it can transform, I just love how big and intimidating it is. Just get a good look at this so you guys can read this. I think that's good enough. Some of the other kits in the line. And again, just going over just how many of these they've done. The Violent was even a more recent one they did. The Hammurabi too, that one's sort of recent. But the rest of these things have been released a while ago. And one kit I can point out right now that they are missing is the Boa Saman. I hate that thing because this name is so complicated. But that was Sur's final mobile suit. And I don't know why they've never made that one, but they need to. Especially if they were to add like a sled with it, that would be amazing to me. I'd love for them to add a sled to that kit. That'll really be a cool little selling point for it. Besides the fact that person just loved the design of the Boa. Just a lot of the tight suits. The ones they originally had on during the first 10 or 20 episodes or so, kind of basically just Zeon suits but colored different. They didn't look too dynamic or anything. But the ones you've seen later on during the last half of this show were a lot more exotic-y. And this thing here being the most exotic of them all, in my opinion, with this crab-like form, and again, the fact that it could transform is huge. It looks like a dog. I know sometimes people call this thing the bound dog. There's a lot of times you can't tell what the heck these things are supposed to be called based on some of the English that comes with some of these names. The full Vermeer being the most infamous one, as it looks like full. What is that? Full Werner or Burner? Burner? But I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Vermeer. So moving along to the next thing here, which gets stuck on plastic or something. So this SH Figure Arts here, you already know what it is based on that. So let's go ahead and pop this thing open and see what's in store for us here. So this is, of course, going to be the typical box in a box here. And another box. I never understood why they bother putting this thing in a box, honestly. But you can see that little scowl he has on the figure itself. And then the smirk here you have. I don't know why he's got two fingers like he's throwing a peace sign. I don't remember him doing that in the show. But it's been a while since I've watched Dragon Ball Z. So I'll have to go ahead and catch up on that. Yeah, maybe that'll be a good excuse for me to get that Crunchyroll subscription early. Catch up on Watch Your Mercury. Watch some Dragon Ball Z. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. Frieza, besides being in a lot of people's favorites, honestly, he was my favorite, especially in his second form. I just love how big and intimidating he looks, especially when he started off as like a little shrimp. And he just looks cool like this. So with typical figure arts fashion here, there's multiple versions of this kit. Or, I'm sorry, figure. I don't know why I keep calling it a kit. Me, my model kit ways. So there's two different heads, it looks like. I'm not sure why. When I pop this thing open, I'll see why exactly. But as usual, there's multiple hands and faces, and this thing comes with one of the Dragon Balls. And that was kind of one of the things that they're kind of selling with these Bandai kits that cover the Namek saga. They all have Dragon Balls and whatnot. And this an alternate version of the tail, which shows a cut for when Krillin threw his destructive disc at Frieza, which he immediately regretted. So I'm not going to open that thing up because part of the review for the figures, honestly, is just checking out all the accessories. And if I were to do that now, these things are action figures, not model kits. So it's already pre-built for me. All I do is pop it open and play around with it and then eventually review it. So moving onwards. You guys probably don't know what the heck this is based on that. You're going to see this second. So this is going to be a Robot Spirits kit, or figure. This is not a model kit. This is an action figure. This is from Tamashii Nations, the same people who made the SH Figure Arts for Dragon Ball Z. So this is a Japanese company, but this is made in China. This was made in Vietnam, so that's interesting. But I've never gotten one of these things yet, but I was curious about it, and they do a few things that have never made it to model kit form. That, of course, being a Zero, and believe me, I looked. So I was really curious as to see how this stacks up to some of the other stuff I have. More in particular, the Gundam Universe, because I have a Gundam Universe strike. That was actually my first strike I've ever got in well, any kind of form, action figure or not. And then I have a Tallgeese, but I'm going to go ahead and say it right now to those who did not check their reviews out for those things. The Tallgeese, I was very disappointed in. The strike was all right, not good enough to where I decided that's the only strike I'll need in my life. I still ended up getting the Master Grade strike. And what that can say that did disappoint me about the Gundam Universe strike is that thing did not come with any striker packs. So I did not like that. I did want a vanilla strike. Who wants a vanilla strike? So I, of course, had to change that. So this thing, again, being made by Tamashii Nations, it has an instruction manual, much like those do. So this is explaining to you how to make the action base for it. And then, of course, how to attach all the gun bits and all that with it. So in typical fashion for not just Tamashii Nations, but all these Robot Nation figures, they have a buttload of accessories for this thing. And although you don't get the satisfaction of building this thing from scratch, there's still some assembly required. And as you can see, highly customizable. You could use these effects for the other figures here, which is going to be the Jin, almost forgot his name, and a Strike. So you can use those thrusters effects for it. I was trying to play around with this bag. If you guys heard that ruffling does with this. But this is, of course, going to be the stand for it. So, of course, when this is over, I'll play around with that thing, quickly assemble it, play around with it before I review it. And one cool thing, though, because these are all figures, if you guys would like to see a review of this thing, I can get that out right away. I do, however, have a couple of things ahead of this I do want to review. So, honestly, there's no need to even review this thing because, again, regardless, I'll be reviewing this thing within a month. There's, again, a couple things I want to review before, and I'll have that right out. So, again, color-wise, it's actually a lot darker in person. My camera's making it look a little more brighter. That was the same thing with the Bone Dock I kind of forgot to mention. But, again, just you have these little barrels here that you'll be able to interchange with the closed barrels here. And you just have a bunch of beam effects. I think this actually is a missile. So I can see a little bit of a gray in there. And again, so far just looking at these effects look great. I really like these effects here. And again, I'm pretty sure these are all beam effects and these are thruster effects, but oh, I didn't even do that. But you even have these little wires here for the bits. So I can't wait to play around with this thing and just see, you know, what it has in store. And this is one cool thing you get just from the fact that you have something you can hold in your hand as opposed to something you're just looking at on the screen. I never noticed there's like a little face on the side of the Zero here. So wasn't my intention of it, but as you can see, the gun here can even swivel. So that is great. So far, just look at this thing. I'm enjoying this thing. I feel like I definitely made the right call picking this thing up. And this was a long time coming because I ordered this thing like literally a year ago. And it's only just now finally showing up. But I'm glad it did. And again, I can't wait to play around with this thing and then show this off to you guys. So hopefully for those of you who are fans of Gundam Seed and you are like me who love the Zero and never got a model kit of it and just was really desperate to be able to display this thing on your shelf side by side with a Strike, which I will be doing. I will be showing this thing off with a couple of the Strikes I have. So I hope you guys are excited to get a review of all of these things here, because again, I will be having a review of them out sooner rather than later, of course, especially for, again, these premium Bandai kits, because these usually get moved up on the list. Whereas these bases, I can't review them. I could build them. I'm going to build them because this is going to take no time to build at all. But when I do get that Witchmaker kit, which of course I will be building and reviewing post haste when it does show up, I'll be able to show these off in better detail. But as for the Bone Dock, how tempting. I'm going to be disciplined and throw this to the bottom of my pile here. But if you can't wait, let me know. And as soon as these things are done here, and again, in addition to the other two kits I have ahead of it, I can go ahead and do you guys a solid and build this thing for you and show it off, because you'd be doing me a favor, honestly, by telling me to build this thing sooner rather than later. But I kind of got up and did some errands and freaking went straight to reviewing. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys I'm feeling like a starving artist right here. I'm ready to end this thing and get my grub on. So again, this has been Rare Model Reviews. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next review.